Okay, hi there. Today I'm going to be looking at samples and surveys, chapter 12-5 for Algebra 1. So there's a bunch of writing for this thing, and I already kind of wrote it out, so you guys will need to write it down, and I'll do some explaining, all right? So here's the first thing, this is different kinds of sampling methods. So the idea is, when you go and you make a survey of some kind, you have to find a way to get data, all right? And, for example, if I wanted to ask everybody, find out what was the favorite class at the high school, I could go and ask every single kid in the school, although, that would be very time-consuming and difficult. So you're faced with other ways to do it. You could do random, where that's the first one here. Is I randomly survey the population. I randomly choose 100 kids out of the school and then ask them, and assume that kind of will give me a random sampling of the opinions in the school. And that's the example over here on the right is, draw names out of a hat, survey people whose names were drawn out of a hat. Okay, so that's the first kind. The second kind is systematic, and that says that, you select a number n at random and then survey every nth person. So, for example, suppose I pick 10, and then I stand at the front door as everybody's coming into the school, and I pick every 10th person that goes by and ask them the question. That would be systematic, okay? And that would make it much easier than trying to ask every single kid at the school what's their favorite class, okay? And then the last way to do it, or the last way that we're looking at, is called stratified. And stratified is where you break it up into smaller groups, and each within a certain characteristic, and then survey at random within each group, okay? So, for example, suppose I broke the high school into freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and then, I randomly sampled a certain number of freshmen, and then I randomly sampled a certain number of sophomores, and then randomly sampled a certain number of juniors, and then randomly sampled a certain number of seniors. That's what stratified would be. So I broke it into groups and then randomly sampled within the group, okay? So that would be the example that I would give, by grade level, and then randomly sample within it, however you decided to do that, okay? So those, please write those down, and that's the four basic kinds. This says survey over there. The word survey the Y got cut off a little bit. Anyway, all right. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is sampling and surveys. So there's different kinds of data, okay? Types of data. There's what's called quantitative, and there's called qualitative. Quantitative has units and can be measured numerically and can be numerically compared. For example, age, weight, time, those are all things that can be measured and compared, okay? Qualitative describes a category that cannot be measured or numerically compared. For example, hair color, brown, I should have an N after it. I got cut off. Brown. Attitude, how was your attitude? It was optimistic. You can't numerically compare that to somebody who was pessimistic or whatever other attitude you might have. Zip code, all right. Zip code is a tricky one because it's got numbers. It's numerical. It can be, but it can't be, numerically compared. You can't say that 01028, which is the zip code for East Longmeadow, is, bigger than 01060, which is the zip code for Northampton, for example. The only thing that you might be able to determine from them is, that they might be close to each other because they both start with 010. So they can't be numerically compared, and that's a big difference there, okay? Most of the time, if you say it's got numbers, usually it's going towards quantitative, but there are exceptions, and that certainly is one of them. All right, identifying types of data. So the first one is called univariate, and that is one variable in the data set. And the second one's bivariate, and the word bi, indicates two, like bicycle, and uni would be one as in unicycle, and bivariate would be two variables in the data set. All right, so I know that was a lot of writing, and I apologize for that. And I put these over here. I got a couple examples of this because univariate and bivariate, they should have examples. So the first one, and I know this one looks complicated, it says the atomic weights of the elements in the periodic table. So you're trying to figure out how many things are being measured. In this case, it's the atomic weights, which is just really one thing. And I know that's a thing that you guys may not have come across yet in science class, but you will. So the atomic weights, that weight, that means you're only measuring one thing, which would be, in that case, univariate. And then example 2 would be the edge lengths and volumes of cubes. So I got two things there that I'm measuring, the edge lengths and the volumes, so that therefore is bivariate, because that's what you're measuring. Two things. All right. All right, so let's go over a couple quick problems here. First ones are identifying whether it's quantitative or qualitative. I'm going to do the first one, and for some of these, I'm going to have someone be you tries. The price of cell phones. So would that be qualitative or quantitative? This one is pretty clearly quantitative. And the reason is because you can compare the prices of cell phones. I'll let you try number 2, favorite color. Number 3, random, stratified, or systematic. You ask every fourth Republican in the state about which candidates they prefer. All right, so since it's every fourth, that would be systematic. You have a system in order to figure that out. You didn't break it up into groups. You didn't just randomly pick, the Democrats in there as well. So it's not complete random sampling. So that's number 3, systematic, not just system. Number 4 is you ask 30 random people exiting a store about how long they waited in line to pay. All right, so I'm gonna have the last 2 be you tries. You can look at these and figure out which kind you think it is. And this is the last one, which is where you ask 10 random people in their 20s, 10 random people in their 30s, and 10 random people in their 40s about a ballot question. So you guys can do those. And that's it for today. And I'm going to close it out with some more music. Have a great night.
And now he's gone forever. She wants to send him a letter. Yeah. I just try to make myself feel better. It said, give me a blow sometime. But she knows what that'll get her. Jamie's crying. Now Jamie's been in love before, and she knows what love is for. It should mean a little